time. Yeah, of course. Yes, I'm so happy we can meet again. I'm looking forward to catching up with you. How have you been? Oh, I understand. Well, we're going to cover a lot in our session today, so please do not feel hesitant to share how you've been doing. Yeah. It can be very challenging to sort of take life with both of our hands and try to go after the things we really want. But as your life coach, I'm here to help you take those steps and make each moment matter. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, first I would like to just do a quick intake of how you're doing since our last session. Would you just go ahead and tell me how the last couple weeks have been since our last meeting? Okay. Wow, very interesting. Wow, very interesting. Okay. And how was that? I see. Yeah, we spend quite a lot of time on our phones, more than we realize. How are you feeling when you spend time on your phone in those pockets of time that are yours? I completely understand. It's natural to feel overwhelmed when you have free time. The sense of dread that you mentioned, that there's so much to do with so little time when you aren't at work or fulfilling other obligations, can be very tough to feel like you can make a decision on how to spend your time wisely, or just even how to spend your time to your, I guess, most benefit in that moment. It's almost like decision paralysis, right? You feel frozen in time, and yet time is moving. Yeah. And that actually makes so much sense, and I hope today what we talk about will be really helpful for you in those moments. Absolutely. Is there anything else? Okay. You're looking to build a better routine. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we can build habits, of course, that we don't want. But I think it can be often even more challenging to build the habits you do want. A lot of the time we're looking at other people's lives and thinking maybe we should replicate something. Maybe you try something out and it's just not for you. That could be the case. Or you may find it's too challenging where you're at, and it's not something that you can pursue in the way other people are pursuing. Of course, there are so many other factors, right? Like privilege and resources. Really the physical time you do have to work with. But I'm excited because everything you're saying is going to wrap into what we're talking about today. Yeah. All right. Anything else you would like to share? Okay. Absolutely. It can feel very isolating to sort of trek out on your own to all of these fantastic especially if you don't have the network or support around you to sort of share in those goals or dreams with you. Maybe they don't understand them, or maybe they just don't relate. That's okay. Everyone, it takes a village, because a village really can serve different purposes. But I understand what you mean. You're feeling like there's a missing part of that village. Yeah. Okay. Alright, well, I think that should kick us off for the rest of our session then. And yeah, we'll definitely be talking about some of this in what we have to cover today. But did you happen to fill out those other sheets I gave you last time? Okay, great. Okay, great, yeah. Alright. Well, let me go ahead and set this aside, and I'll go ahead and get the items we'll be covering today. Okay. Alright, I have a fun little folder here for you. And in this folder, I have some worksheets we'll be going over. So I'll be walking through each of the worksheets with you, and we will go over the instructions, and you'll be able to take these home with you to fill out before our next session, okay? And as always, you're always welcome to message or call me at any time for any questions, or if you're struggling to fill out a worksheet or fulfill some of the homework that I give you, okay? This is truly for you and for your benefit, but it's also meant to help you stay on track and see some growth in these areas that you are hoping to improve. Okay. Great. Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna make sure they're in the right order for you. Okay, let's make sure we separate those. Okay, that might be a good one. Alright. Okay, so now, this first worksheet is called Living by Your Values. So, this is what it looks like. I'm going to read some of the instructions and describe to you what you'll be filling out. So, this exercise will prompt you to think about your most important values, to assess how much you are living by them, and then to identify some actions that you could take to live more in accordance with your values. When considering your scores, you could ask yourself, in what situations does this value show up in my life? How exactly does it show up? What additional actions could I take that relate to this value? How do I want to behave in relation to this value? When do I not act in accordance with this value? What could I do differently? So, especially if you're considering any major decisions in your life right now, you may want to consider options that best align with your core values, such as a new career change, or maybe a new relationship. Okay, the first column here, 1 through 5, is my top values, what is most important to me. Examples: autonomy, security, education, respect, excitement. Now you can look up values online. There are going to be endless possibilities, really, as far as the English language goes. But your values could be creativity. They could be just a variety of different things that really relate to you. Maybe it's justice, maybe it's authenticity. So many options, and I want to encourage you that your values can change over time. So just pick the top 5 values for you currently, and they are absolutely something you can change later on. Okay? The next column here is rate out of 10 how much you currently live in accordance with this value. 0 is not at all, and 10 is completely in accordance. So let's say one of your values is creativity, and you feel like you are at about a 4. That shows that there could be much room for improvement. Or perhaps you have authenticity as a value, and you feel like you're very true to who you are in life or in what you do, and that is something much higher, like a 7 or 8. If you feel like something's a complete 10, that is awesome. Okay, now we have the third and final column, which is what can you do to increase your score? If you scored 6 out of 10, what steps could you take to make that a 7 out of 10? And I like that because it doesn't make you feel this pressure or overwhelmed to immediately jump to a 10. So let's say for creativity you're a 4. How could we get you to a 5? And it could be absolutely anything, but we can always expand on that in more detail later on. This is just to really help you feel in alignment with your values, the top 5 values you have, and allows you to see sort of these big decisions or big goals in your life through these lenses. And a lot of these goals probably share some of these values already, right? Okay. So that is the first worksheet that you'll be working on, okay? This is another worksheet that is very interesting. So it's called Are You Sitting Too Comfortably? This quote by Emma Louise Elsie is, "You can't grow without discomfort because all growth requires change, which means we need to adapt and learn. So when you feel uncomfortable, it simply means you are learning and growing. Celebrate." I like that. Often I think when we feel uncomfortable, it feels like a red flag, like danger is near. But really when it comes to growth, it's to the effect of us confusing nervousness with excitement. You are in an exciting, changing, developing state, and that can feel very risky or nerve-inducing, but really you should be excited about it. Okay, so this starts off with saying, are you too comfortable? When we are in our comfort zone, we feel confident and at ease. Often we're feeling relaxed, snug even, and that can be a very pleasant place to be. The question is, have you overstayed your welcome? Okay, so there's about 3 sections we'll go through. The first section is just a series of 5 quick questions. It says, answer these questions briefly before you score yourself. The first question, when was the last time you tried something new? Second question, how much are you learning and growing right now? Third, do you feel you're doing too much or not enough? Fourth, when was the last time you took a risk? Fifth, do you feel like it's time for a shift or a change? Okay, so those are 5 quick questions. So the next section is, where are you on the comfort continuum? So we have 3 different stages. You have like a porcupine, visual, uncomfortable. We have a couch for comfortable, and then a very sleepy dog for asleep. It says, now simply put an X on the line to represent how comfortable you are in your life right now. So -5 with the porcupine, or +5 where the dog is sleeping. So once you rate yourself, now as you look at where you are on the comfort continuum, is this where you'll want to be? We need some time in our comfort zones to rest, but are you recharging or heading towards snoozeville? It's a great thing to consider when, I like to think about when we feel too comfortable. Sometimes we'll feel a little bit fidgety or bored. We'll start to feel a sense of dread, maybe, or like we're not focused on the thing we really care about. We're just kind of doing too much, or feeling like we're not as self-disciplined as we want to be. And that might just be indicative of you're just ready to move on to something greater, something more challenging. It can also be something where you're listless and just sort of going through the motions, and it depends on who you are as a person and what else you're going through. But I think you can kind of see those signs of boredom as sort of a flag of indicating you need some change in your life. Okay, the last section here. Finally, what actions will you take to get moving? Think especially about things you've been putting off doing, perhaps because they leave you feeling uncomfortable. This could be anything from making that phone call, updating your resume, taking an exotic vacation, or starting a new hobby or activity. Simply write your actions in the space below and be as specific as you can. So you can list each of the actions towards those things that you might want to change or introduce, and then there's a section for by when, so you put like a date to it. Okay, I think this will be really helpful in accordance with like some of the other goals that we've worked on developing for you. These will sort of really hone in on the things maybe you're a little more nervous or afraid to challenge yourself to do. So it's okay if some of this stuff relates to some of the goal setting we've already gone through together, okay? Right. This next worksheet, tolerations. What am I putting up with? Okay, so this worksheet is, we tend to get dragged down and overwhelmed by things that accumulate over time and end up cluttering our minds. Now is the time to identify what you're tolerating. You may not want to do anything about them right now, but just writing them out here will raise your awareness, and you'll naturally start handling, fixing, and resolving them. So make a list of what you're putting up with at work and at home to determine what might be cluttering your mind and slowing you down. So examples can be incomplete tasks, frustrations, problems, other people, or your own behavior, clutter, shoulds, unmet needs, crossed boundaries, overdue library books, outdated wardrobe, unresolved issues or guilt, lack of exercise or eating habits, being indecisive, lack of sleep, procrastination, so many different examples. So over time, as you think of more items, you can add them to this list. So maybe we call this a list of grievances, as that is really what it is. It's grievances that have weaseled their way into your life. So this is something to have on hand over the next few weeks, and really allows you to sort of help you check in emotionally with the things in your life and what you're tolerating or putting up with, allowing you to, sometimes we think something in our life is meant to be there. We're meant to see it a certain way, when really there's opportunity to change it, to approach it differently, or leave it altogether. So I think this is a great way to kind of sort of list your grievances, as I said. Okay. So this next worksheet is called the Worry Workout. Worry as in WORRY. Okay, so it says here, use this worksheet as a workout for your worries, one worry at a time. Break down the fears and thoughts that do not serve you and transform them into empowering actions. Make your way through the steps below, skipping one if it truly does not apply to your worry. Dig deep, because usually there's an answer to all of them, and the more work you do around your worry, the stronger your worry workout. The goal is that you find calm, peace, and a clear path for yourself. Okay, so we'll go through each of the questions. So the first one is, describe your worry in detail. How does it feel? Is there a visual way of explaining it? I like that. Again, focus on one worry at a time. So this is the same worry throughout the entire questions, and you can do this for as many as worries you have. Okay, the second question is this worry in the present or in the future? That is very important to ask. Where did this worry come from? Is there a particular event that created this worry? How does this worry serve you? What does it teach you? What good does it possess? I know it can be very frustrating to hear a lot of the time there is good anxiety or good stress or good worries to have, right? A lot of those things are signals for us to make changes for something better or to teach us something. And I think we all can relate to the sentiment that, of course, we know some worries are good worries to have, but the problem we have is navigating our way out of that worry with a resolution that we are unafraid to pursue. So, I can understand that. The next question is, what evidence is there that this worry is 100% real? How likely is it that it will actually come true? The next question is, what evidence is there that this worry is 100% real? How likely is it that it will actually come true? The next is, what would happen if this worry came true? What are other potential outcomes? Which is most likely? What do you have control over here? Dig deep, be precise, and take responsibility for what you can truly control. That's a very good question. And what actions can you take to manage this worry? All right. And then finally, using the answers above, create a lasting intention to help you with this worry. If it helps, create a visual image. I love this worksheet because it really allows you to face your fears head on and dig deep to sometimes what we call the shadow work, right? The fears we want to face and challenge and unravel to overcome and pursue the things we really want. Because as we all know, on our growth journeys, when we're working hard to achieve something, there's always going to be moments of doubt or insecurity, or something doesn't go the way we think it will, and it sort of feels like we're taking a step back. And instead of taking a step back, or maybe you do have to take a step back, it's sort of pausing and reflecting on what you're really worried about, and is it really something that you don't have control over, or is there, are there things you can take control of and let go of the things that you can't? That kind of thing. It's a lovely worksheet. Okay. So this next one is something that I wanted to pull out because you mentioned that you really wanted to focus on making some new friends. And so this worksheet is all about making new friends, proactive friend finder. Okay, so this asks you some questions to help you get clear on what you're looking for in a friendship, what you bring to a friendship, and helps you identify some ideas and actions to find potential friends. Okay. So this is what the worksheet looks like. So the first section here is, why is having friends important to me right now? So it says, getting clear on why we want something helps to motivate and inspire us. So the second item here is, what are the top 3 qualities I would like in my ideal friends? The second one is, thinking about good friends I have currently or had in the past, what do I value most about them? It's a very good one. The next question here is, what are the outcomes, specific results that I would like from having new friendships? So those questions really help you solidify the why, the values, the ideals, so that you're walking into situations building yourself up for sort of the most positive outcome and finding new relationships. Okay, so the next question is, what 3 qualities must my friends not have? Okay, so that's really something that helps you see the things you're not interested in, right? To avoid. The next question is, what special qualities do I bring to a friendship? How am I a great friend? I think that's a very, valid thing to reflect on. What activities or kinds of things do I like to do with friends? This is so important, and I can't emphasize this enough. A lot of the times we feel sort of this peer pressure to enjoy things with people based on what other people enjoy doing, when we're at school or at work. A lot of the times that's what the most you have to relate to with those people. And let's say everyone at your job or at your school, in your class, whoever, they like to do activities that you're not necessarily interested in. It's okay to not force yourself to spend time doing things other people enjoy more than you do. it may just be that you enjoy different things. And it's absolutely okay to create friendships that help you sort of, relate with the same activities or hobbies or values that you have, and you can experience those things with those people. And it's not to say that there's never going to be a time where you show up for a friend, at an activity you wouldn't have chosen, but you're doing it because they love it. That's absolutely okay. It's, in fact, something that can help us all grow, right? But I think starting out, it's totally fine to focus on the activities you enjoy first to really see where you can find those similar groups of people. Because you're more than likely to have things in common when you like the same activities, right? Okay. And all of that to say, keep an open mind, because there are activities and hobbies that you probably haven't explored yet, that you haven't even tried, that you may not realize you actually enjoy. And the beauty of life is that you have a lot of time, or at least we hope we have a lot of time to try new things even as we get older. Okay. The next question is, what could get in the way of me having successful friendships? It's a very important question. Next is, where could I meet potential friends? Brainstorm and list all your potential ideas, no matter how realistic they are. One thing I like to think about is, let's say you're interested in joining a book club. Maybe you don't want to join a book club that, selects books you're not interested in, like the genre is not something you relate to or would want to read. I would recommend not joining that particular book club unless you are willing and excited about the materials you would all be reading. But sometimes we can't find very specific things. So let's say there's a very specific set of genres you love, but you're having trouble finding a book club that meets all of that criteria. Maybe be a little bit open to it meeting one or two genres you love, and it's okay if it doesn't meet all the specific genres of books you like, because odds are the one or two out of the mix, you're more than likely to find other people with maybe similar genre interests in that book club. But it's just something to consider when you're finding groups, that sometimes you are not going to be able to find everything your heart desires, and then also, avoid things that you're not going to enjoy, even if technically it falls under a particular area or hobby that you like. Okay. So the next question is, who that I already know are potential friends? Think about people at work, a club or group, a fellow volunteer, someone at the gym or class, or anyone else that you often run into. Okay. And then finally, what actions will you take to get moving? This could be anything from making a phone call, starting a new hobby or activity, attending an event, or asking someone to go for a beer or coffee. And if it's an idea you've been procrastinating over, now's the time to do it. Simply write your actions in the space below and be as specific as you can. So there's actions at the bottom to help you take those steps to making more friends or putting yourself in a position to meet new people and be open to the possibilities of new friendships. All right. We have our last worksheet to go over today. It is called the Habit Breakdown. All right, so it says, one of the hardest parts of establishing a new habit is getting started. However, by breaking a habit into small steps and practicing for as little as 2 minutes every day, you can overcome this common barrier. The habit building process. So, the first item is break your desired habit into 5 steps. The first step should be very easy and take no more than 2 minutes to complete. By the final step, you should be practicing the entire habit. Item number 2, complete step 1 every day until it becomes a habit. You may complete more steps when you feel motivated, but completing step 1 consistently is the most important goal. And finally, number 3, when step 1 becomes a habit, it serves as a building block towards step 2. At this point, make it your goal to complete steps 1 and 2 every day. Continue this cycle until each step becomes a habit. Okay. And to speak more broadly, you could even, this is speaking to a specific habit and steps towards that habit, but you could even stack habits together. So let's say that you want to build a habit of, flossing every day and doing your skincare routine and, just doing all of these treatments that maybe you want to make sure you're keeping up with. Well, if you are, let's say, there's a specific time every night that you want to get all of those things done, that's technically stacking multiple different habits into one area. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So let's start with one habit. So example number 1 for a habit is you want to start a new habit of walking for 30 minutes every evening. Okay, so here it says do step 1 and repeat step 1 every day until you've mastered that. Now, the example here, pre-written. I feel like step 1 and 2 should technically be done together, but we'll talk about it and see, where you're feeling. So step 1 to achieve walking for 30 minutes every evening. Step 1 of that habit is changing into exercise clothes after work. So basically, you're supposed to be changing into your exercise clothes after work every day for, at least until you've mastered that, and then you can move on to step 2. But I feel like step 2 is really what you might want to start off with if you're already changing into exercise clothes. So step 2 here says walk around the block. Just walk around the block. Now, I would think if you're changing into your exercise clothes after work, maybe you feel like that is as hard as, that's going to be hard enough for you to achieve. So you might want to start there first for like a couple days until you feel ready. But if you're feeling up to it, then change into your exercise clothes and then walk around the block. So things like that. Sometimes the steps you might want to do together because you're like already ready to go, but it's really up to you. Again, this is an example. So based on habits you want to build, create the steps that you think you need to master first all together to then have the habit you're hoping for. So then the next step, step 3 through 5, is just increasing the time you're walking to up to 30 minutes. So step 3 is walk for 10 minutes, and then once you've mastered that, you walk for 20 minutes, and then once you've mastered that, you walk for 30 minutes. And again, everyone is different. You can build up the intensity or resistance or what have you when you feel like you've maxed out. And that's going to be important because often when we build a habit, sometimes we get bored of that habit and it's going to end up changing over time. Okay, so the good news is that it changes within its own realm. So let's say you want to walk for 30 minutes every evening, but after some time you feel like you want to change it up. You can do a different exercise for 30 minutes every evening. That could be still the same realm, but it's changing it up, not making it too monotonous. Okay, another example habit is go to bed by 10 p.m. every night. Sleep is so important, so going to bed by a certain time really is a very hard habit for a lot of us to build. The first step towards this habit is be home by 9 p.m. every evening. Step 2 is brush teeth and shower by 10 p.m. Step 3 is turn off all electronics by 10 p.m. Step 4 is do all the previous steps 1 hour earlier. Step 5, be in bed by 10 p.m. So you can really see, you're like, okay, well, why can't I just be in bed by 10 p.m. in the first step? Well, often you'll realize there's so many things you're doing to prepare yourself to go to sleep, and you really have to start managing your time to work towards the thing that you really want. And you'll find that when you are creating a new habit, you'll naturally be breaking other habits. So let's say you mentioned you feel like you're on your phone during your free time and it doesn't feel like you have a sense of control and you feel like you're sort of wasting time. Well, you can focus on the habits that fill up different times or a daily schedule. And then when you've completed that habit or practice, you will then experience the freedom of your free time, knowing, okay, I got all these things done, or I know I'm going to get this done later. It's okay if I'm on my phone right now, because another important thing is you shouldn't feel like every minute of your life is something you need to pencil in. You should be fine with spending your time, not feeling like you every minute, there's some kind of agenda you need to achieve, or you shouldn't feel like your worth is in the things that you do. I know it can make it feel like that impacts your worth, but there should be time and room for you to enjoy your life, to play, to not have this sense of, rigidity that you need to follow in order to be considered a worthy person. Habits are meant to help you experience the things you really want. And so it really needs to come from a place of the thing you really want or need to feel that sense of change or empowerment over something in your life. And go ahead and focus on one habit at a time, and then maybe you can stack things on top of each other. So maybe you love to read and you love listening to audiobooks. Maybe you listen to an audiobook if you walk for 30 minutes every evening. In that sense, you're exercising and you're also enjoying something while you're doing that, and achieving reading hobby that you love. So there are ways to integrate things into your life within other things and habits that you already are doing. And you shouldn't feel like you're overdoing it, but often we'll find sometimes we'll bite off more than we can chew. So it's important for you to check in with yourself, and of course with me as your life coach. We'll be checking in on these habits. I'd like for you to pick a few just for now, and we'll help you work on each one, along with working through all the other sort of mindset and approaches to different areas with the other worksheets. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that completes our worksheet overview. I'll go ahead and send this home with you today. And if you have any questions while you're filling these out, please let me know. I'm here to support you. You're not alone in this, and you should feel a sense of empowerment and peace, and enjoyment, really. Your life is something to be enjoyed, and that's my job, is to help you feel that joy. Alright, yeah. I look forward to our next session together. I'll go ahead and book that in our calendar, and please let me know if you need anything, but I'll go ahead and hand these off to you, and we'll see each other very soon again. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming by.